Hello everyone, I'm Hannah, I'm from Merlin Entertainments, I'm Director of Internal Comms and Belonging. Do you lovely two want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, go on Claire, you first.
I'm Claire Lawson and I'm the Diversity, Inclusion and Accessibility Director here at Merlin Entertainments.
Hi, I'm Alyson Hancock. I am the Group People Director for the Wonderfield Group. You probably know us best as Your Sushi and many other brands that we've got globally now.
Thank you. Cancer can affect all of us, whether that's personally, our friends, our family, or our colleagues. And rates are rising. By 2040, over 5 million people will be living with cancer in the UK alone. But today isn't just about statistics, it's about sharing stories. And these two incredible women are going to share their stories and experiences. But having spoken to both of them, what they really want us to take away from today is action. What can we do at work? What can we do in our communities? And what can we do personally? So Alyson, let me come to you. Please, can you share your story?
Yes, so I am 47 and I'm living with stage 4 breast cancer. So I was diagnosed with primary breast cancer in 2022, which then spread to my brain. So when I was diagnosed, everything went really well in terms of treatment. You know, the prognosis was looking really good. Was on a business trip to Houston and started getting some headaches, which was really weird for me. I don't normally get headaches. And so I spoke to my amazing oncologist and she was like, look, I think everything's fine, but let's just do a scan. And when they did a scan, they found 17 tiny tumours in my brain. So she called me when I was having coffee with a friend and said, can you get down to the clinic ASAP? So, yeah, I am still working full time for now. I've got 2 young boys who are 4 and 7 and the absolute light of my lives. Poseidon and Tiger, who came to tea for World Book Day today. So I still managed to do all of that stuff as well. And so that's my story. And I'm looking forward to sharing some ways that you can support people in my position as well.
Thank you. And Claire, can you share your story?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So I'm going to go back to 2019 when I found a really small lump in my neck. And I went to the doctors, as you do. I had it checked. I had all the tests that you can have, and they were like, it's all fine. It's just a reactive node. I didn't ask what is reacting to, which was a little bit silly. But forward on to 2021, the lump had started growing, and it was keeping me awake at night. And I was like, this is just not right. I need to go and get it checked again. But you sort of doubt yourself. Anyway, we were in COVID. It took a long time to get the appointment. I got the appointment, had all the scans again. 1 week later, I was sat in front of my consultant who was telling me, you have stage 3 throat and neck cancer, which was like, oh my goodness. And actually, I sat and I thought, like, is this a woman's cancer? Like, this is really weird. And actually, I will tell you, through the whole of my treatment, I was sat with old men, which was not fun. But, you know, I happened to get the cancer that was an older man's cancer, but very, very difficult. So, yeah, that's my story.
Thank you for sharing. And can you both talk about how you navigated those days, both personally but also at work? Claire, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, because my treatment was in my throat, I didn't really have a choice because I couldn't eat, I couldn't speak properly, and I couldn't drink. So everything was going through like a feeding tube in my tummy. So for me, it was really black and white. I was like, you can't work. And in some respects, it was quite good because my team were really clear. I was out, there was no communicating with me, and it made it actually quite easy. The bit that I found really, really hard was I was navigating this illness that I just didn't expect to have. And then all of a sudden I was stripped from my purpose. It was like the one thing that I really loved. I didn't then have my career, I didn't have a team, and actually everything in my world became about cancer. So it was just another thing for me to navigate. From a work perspective, I got some really good support. I think my manager at the time was having to manage 2 people in our team with cancer. It was COVID, everyone was furloughed, it was absolute chaos. But the bit that I really recognised in those moments was there's no real support for the managers either. It's like, you know, he's dealing with 2 people in the business in a small team, and no one's saying, this is what you need to do. This is how you do it. Are you okay? The reality for him must have been really frightening. And I think that for me was a real pivotal moment, that we just don't have the support out there for people that need it. Not just the person going through it, but actually the managers. So that for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Sarah, who's my HR lead, arranged with a company called Working with Cancer to get my CEO some coaching, I guess, around, how to manage it. But myself personally, I was just shocked to the core. I was absolutely devastated. I couldn't think about work. I couldn't do anything. I just couldn't function, because when you hear that word, you automatically think, right, that's it, I'm dead, and work just seemed to be the last thing on my mind. I work for a great company. I've been there for 8 years, and everyone was so supportive, and I knew that my team would take the load. Everybody just rallied round, and I just never felt under pressure to do anything. When I eventually got into treatment, I randomly felt better because I knew I was getting treated, and I worked with a great oncologist, a nutritionist, to kind of really minimise the side effects. So I continued to work throughout my chemotherapy, and I think the worst thing is when you have to walk into, you kind of, as part of a senior exec team, when you have to walk into that kind of boardroom environment wearing, a turban because you're bald, and it's, it just doesn't feel professional, and it was just so awkward. But yeah, work was just great, and I say, so supportive. I work with amazing people, and I absolutely adore them. And everybody just made sure I was okay, and just, I got so many gifts, and I was saying about flowers. My house was like a funeral parlour, and I keep saying, if somebody's gone through a rough time, don't send them flowers, because I didn't have enough vases. I couldn't be bothered with the upkeep. And yeah, so, send something practical, like a, kind of a Deliveroo voucher or something. But yeah, definitely not flowers. But I was appreciative of those as well, for sure.
Definitely. And I think cancer can be such a tough subject. And I think sometimes people, they don't know what to do. So they can do potentially the wrong thing by accident, or just say the wrong thing, or just say nothing because they're so scared of saying the wrong thing. What advice would you both give to people if they have anyone that is going through cancer?
I think so many people come up to me and say, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry I didn't message, but I didn't know what to message. I didn't know what to say, and they are scared of saying the wrong thing. And you know what, when you're in this position, it's so lonely, and you just want them to say something. And I'm not looking for my friends and colleagues to be therapists. They're not trained mental health specialists. They're not going to come up with something profound and life-changing. And I don't need them to. I just want them to say, I'm here, or give me a call, or just don't leave the situation because you don't know what to say. You're never going to say the right thing. You're never going to, kind of take the pain away for someone, but just saying something is really important, really important. Just let them know that you're there, for sure.
Claire?
Yeah, I'll echo that, but I think as well, if you're worried about what to say that, because actually they will lead you in the right way. Some people love to talk about it, some people don't like talking about it, and actually just be brave and say, I really want to help, but I don't know how. I don't know what to say. And they will tell you what they want, whether they want to talk about it, whether they want to hide it, or I think be guided by them, but just don't avoid it, I'd say.
Yeah, totally. It's simple. How can I be the best person in this moment? What can I do? And sometimes it can be just as, I know for me, if I'm going through something that's really difficult, I just want people to talk about themselves, or just tell me some gossip, or tell me something they've watched on the TV.
Be normal.
Yeah, exactly. Be normal. So you've both talked a little bit about how your workplaces responded, and both seem very positive, actually, and supportive. But are there any challenges that you have faced, and what changes would you like to see happen in the workplace? Claire, come to you.
Yeah, I think I've touched on this earlier with my line manager, and he did a great job, but he's not a real people person. He's not my manager now, but he's not a real people person. And I think he genuinely struggled to know what to do. And I actually felt really sorry for him in those moments. But in terms of what I think we can do, when I came back to the business, I was really determined. I was like, we need to break the stigma. And this is difficult for me. You can probably see it's a really difficult thing to talk about. But I'm desperate to break the stigma around this. And I went to work and I thought, right, we've got to change it. We've got to talk about it. We've got to have resources. We've got to have training. We need to have buddies. And we've done all that. Like, we've got a one-stop shop with everything on it, which is about live stories and all sorts of Macmillan support, even makeup tutorials for people that lose their hair. We've got trained buddies. We've got training for managers to help them lead through illness. So we've launched it in the UK on World Cancer Day last year, year before, and then in North America last year. And I just feel so proud about it. And I think if there's anybody in here that wants to take action, just one thing, just do it. Just try and make a difference for people that are in those moments, all they want, like I'm sure you feel the same, all I wanted to do was be normal. I kept saying, I just want to be normal, I just want to be normal. And it was so far from normal. And I think we can change that. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I got, not by everybody, but I did get treated differently. I think people make a lot of assumptions when you got cancer. People wouldn't come to me, they wouldn't ask me things. And when they did, they were like, oh, no, but you've got so much to deal with. You know, and for me, who I'd like to think has always been quite an integral part of our business in terms of the people space, that was really hard for me to get to grips with, because I suddenly went from somebody who everybody would come and, you know, seek counsel from to just more or less disappearing, and people not wanting to bother me and, you know, not inviting me out for drinks because they just assumed I wasn't up for it. So I think it's just not making assumptions and treating people. That normality is all we want. You know, we don't want to spend the whole day thinking about, I've got cancer. I want to be, you know, kind of doing the things that I love to do. And if you can just continue to include people and don't make assumptions around their health, let them lead you, you know, let them advocate for themselves, and tell you what you need to do for them.
Definitely. What has been the biggest lesson, and let's talk a little bit about the experience of this in your life and resilience as well.
I think I'm just a good old northern working class bird. So, you know, my resilience, my mum grew up in not the best situation. My dad liked the odd tipple, let's just say. So I think I really kind of got my resilience from her, and I have a bit of a dark sense of humour around this, as my team will testify. They're like, Ali, you can't say that. But I do like to, I'll say make a joke, but, you know, find the positivity and light in this situation. One thing I have learned is you go through life and you take your health for granted every single day. We all do. You know, and from one minute I went from a normal working mum, great career ahead and gorgeous kids, you know, everything was great, to the next week being told that I might have to move into palliative care because they've done these scans and they found all of these areas around my body. And that was within the space of a week. So to get your head around that was just mind-blowing. And I think, you know, I don't want people to be sat here scared thinking, oh my God, this is going to happen to me. But just don't take life for granted. You know, don't wake up and think, oh God, even I wake up now on a Monday morning and think, oh God, it's Monday. But, you know, just live your life. And, you know, I love what Sarah did and went traveling with the kids. I mean, I wish I could do that. I take a lot more holidays now. I take a lot more breaks. I spend a lot more time with my children. We bought a camper van for some bizarre reason. And, you know, we drive around the country getting stuck in mud and, you know, but the kids love it, you know, and I would never have done that kind of stuff before. So, you know, kind of just stretch your comfort zone and just bloody love life, because, you know, it's so special and so magical. And you don't realise that until it's taken away from you.
Yeah, I think I spoke about normality. I wanted normality, and that's all I wanted. And then I got back to work, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, God, I'm back to work. And all of a sudden, I got PTSD. No one tells you that can happen. No one warns you. So through your whole cancer, you've got all these people scurrying around looking after you. All of a sudden, you're back at your desk, you're on your own, people can see your back. And I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't keep up with the pace. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this job anymore. And I kept putting this front on because I just really felt like I can't let the business down again. I've already let them down once. And I just wanted to roll up in this little ball and just hide under my desk, and I couldn't. And then finally I broke and I snapped, and I was like, right, I need to get some help. I need to put my hand up. And I need to say, I need some help, which I did. And I think for me, just looking back and thinking, not only did I get through the treatment, but actually, even more importantly, I dragged myself out of a massive, great big dark hole. And I think for me, I feel prouder about that than I do my cancer, because it was just, no one tells you how to deal with that. When you have cancer, they give you a plan. No one gives you a plan for anxiety and who are you now? Like, who am I? And so now I just feel like you said, I love life more. I love my walks more. I love my husband more. I love my...
Don't tell him that. I've got friends in the room, don't tell him that.
I will share this with my husband so he can see. I love my dog more. I love everything more. And more importantly, I love eating, because when I went through 9 months where I could not eat, when I was able to eat, and all I eat now is cake. Cake, ice cream, anything with cream. Hannah will testify. All I talk about is cake. So, yeah, that's my resilient story.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. And so International Women's Day, the theme this year is all about accelerating action. So I'd love to hear what advice you'd love to give the room on what can we take away from today, and what can we start doing?
I think if you're in a position where you can is, I know Claire's done some amazing stuff at Merlin. We've not quite got there yet in my business, but I know Sarah, my HRD, has started doing some great policies around working with a chronic illness, because, I've had great support, but I'm very visible to my CEO. There's people working out in our business who are going through the same thing. Are they getting treated the same? Are they getting time off work? Are they worrying about finances? So having, a robust policy in place, badger your people team to make sure that this is on their agenda, because we know the statistics are going up. I did a talk at the Great SSP yesterday for Merlin. I think they had a couple of people in their business currently who are going through the situation. So, it's going to kind of impact all of us at some point. I think it's just, let's get ready in a workplace to, make sure that we're supporting those people. And don't discount them. I'm taking some time away from work. And if I do decide to leave my current job, because it's a big job, global, and lots of travel and stuff, I do worry about how I'm going to get back into the workplace, because who is going to take on somebody with stage 4 cancer? They're going to think I'm going to be hooked up to a drip half the week, and it's absolutely not the right thing. I'm currently training for a 10K. I'm very active. Not that I'm ever going to do it, but I'm training. We'll see. Bets on. But I think just don't discount us. Because I've got cancer, I'm still... my brain cells, I don't know if it's my age, I'm perimenopausal, I don't know if it's the cancer, but, I'm, definitely not as my memory's not as good anymore, but, I'm still good at my job, and I just want you, if you're in a position where you're recruiting people, you're looking after people within the business, just don't, make sure that you're constantly practicing that kind of, not practicing unconscious bias, you know what I mean, but just taking the person for who they are and not for their illness. That is really important to me.
So important. Claire?
Yeah, I echo again everything you say. I think we need to make sure that cancer is on the agenda and it's talked about. And I think the more we talk about it, the more people feel comfortable to go forward and get checked, which is a good thing. 5 million people by 2040 is a lot of people. It's a lot of organisations that are going to be affected. And if you've got the power and the drive, do it. And if you haven't and you don't have that power, badger your organisations to do it, because it's really important that we are there for people in the worst moments of their lives, but also they can be seen and heard. Because when you're stripped of your health, you don't want to be stripped of your purpose as well.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much. Totally inspiring.